Today we'll be talking about Squid Game 2 and break down the episodes. Season 1, thought it was okay. That it was overhyped. I am a fan of the survival death game concept. Gantz being my favorite. I think it's a masterpiece. Probably do a video about it eventually. But in the Squid Game universe, people that are struggling in debt, can't survive, are sent to an island to compete for cash in a life or death child's games that you lose, you die, and if you win, you win money, and it's all done for the entertainment of these crazy billionaire guys wearing golden animal masks for some reason. Season 1 had good characters, but the games, aside from Red Light, Green Light, which I think is the best, they all kind of get progressively worse as the series goes on. They don't have that same impact of that first game, and there's a lot of unnecessary side stories in the series, like Jun-Ho the cop trying to find his brother on the island. He eventually does. He's, the front man who runs the game, shoots him off a cliff. And then we also get a guard organ harvesting side plot, which I hated. Was bloated, unnecessary. Really need to keep the series streamlined in the games on the competitors. I thought that would have been a better story. There's also the horrible reality show. I think it's terrible. Bad characters, bad games, a lot of just voting people off. So everybody's clicking up and voting on other teams. I thought that was lame. Thought the elimination should happen in the games. Plus, towards the end, everybody gets obsessed with one character, kind of like forms a cult around her and helps her win. I think that was strange. But season 2, I was kind of excited. The concept of bringing a guy back from the first season to run like a new game plus all the stats. I thought that was give it a shot. So I'm going to mispronounce names, but Gi-hoon returns. He didn't get on the flight and escape with all his money. He decided to stay in Korea and get revenge on the game maker. So that's where the story sort of uh, kicks off. And I'm glad he got his horrible haircut immediately because I couldn't have tolerated that. But story starts with him wanting revenge. Episode 1, Bread Lottery. So we see Gi-hoon has been spending years of his time and money to track down the recruiter, the guy who brought him to the game the first time with the slapping game. And he's hired these guys that basically s- go across every subway line all day, every day, trying to track this guy down. He's hiring thugs and gangsters and anybody you can find to track this guy down, and he's become obsessed. He's traumatized and he can't forget the people that got killed in the last game and he just wants revenge. So he's really made a huge character change from the goofy character from the first season. He's like, become sort of a badass. So liking the direction of his character. We also see Jun-Ho the cop from the first series. He survived falling off a cliff and falling in the ocean, but sort of giving up major investigations, becoming a traffic cop, trying to put the island behind him and trying to forget about his brother. So, Ji-hoon's guys are able to track down the recruiter, and there's this unnecessary long chasing because Ji-hoon's like 3 towns away and can't get there in time. He gets end up being pulled over by the cop, delaying him even further. So his guys track down the recruiter through the subway and attack. It just goes on and on. It's too long. But we get to see the recruiter act like a lunatic. He buys a bunch of bread and lottery tickets and goes to a park and harasses homeless people, offering them one or the other. And last, when they lose a scratch off, so that's going to be a TikTok thing next week probably. So that'll be exciting. But they eventually get kidnapped and ambushed by the recruiter and put in their own little death game where they play rock, paper, scissors, and Russian roulette. I think that's a really cool, intense scene because they're friends and one of them sacrifices himself for the other. I thought that was really intense. But the episode ends with Ji-hoon and the recruiter in their own Russian roulette game. And it's really high stakes. And these two dudes are, super tense and they're just taunting each other and trying to break the other guy's will. But um, Jin Hoon's become unhinged. He's a lunatic. He's gonna kill. He doesn't care if he dies. He's just out for blood, and he wins. And the recruiter ends up killing himself in the game, and he gives up a card. So that's the next clue for our main characters to find the game makers, and that's how the episode ends. Episode 2, Halloween Party. This is the series starts to get really silly. Uh, Ji-hoon decides to team up with Jun-Ho the cop and one of the survivors from the Recruiter's Death game to find the game makers and, get revenge. Um, Ji-hoon's assembled an arsenal of guns and he's been training. He's like, super focused and, he's, really prepared to take these guys on. I think it's weird in the series, none of the guns have any optics on it. Like, I was expecting to see the guards have like, triangle, square, circle, red dots. I thought that would have been cool, but The guys hire mercs and like three teams of mercenaries, and they're planning to kidnap the front man because he left an invitation to a Halloween party. So that's where it takes our main characters. And one of the guys has a stupid horse mask the whole time. It's so stupid. And Jin Hoon eventually ends up in a limo, talks to the front man. There's a back and forth. There's a horrible Matrix quote, but he ends up saying, "Put me back in the game." So he gets gas and he's sent away. The plan was he had a horrible fake void-looking like tooth implanted as a tracker, and the other guys were going to fall into the island. So that's the plan that they're trying to pull off. We also get to see some other characters, primarily a woman who works at a amusement park who befriends a little girl. She ends up having cancer. Her father works there, and you kind of showing that she's going to join the game to help these people. But the twist is she ends up being a guard in the game. So that was a cool little episode ending in there. Episode 3001. So we cut to the cops and the mercenaries on the boat, and they're trying to track Ji-hoon, and his tracker goes dead, and they lose his location. And pretty much these guys do nothing the entire series. They're stuck on the boat, tracking down different islands, and nothing happens. Literally, the only thing exciting thing that happens is they open a booby trap hatch, and one dude gets killed, and the captain ends up betraying everybody. But they literally do nothing. They're stuck on the boat the whole series, and they're pretty much out of the whole story at that point. Um, Characters wake up in the bunk bed room, and we meet a bunch of really annoying characters. I can't stand anybody. Primarily the mom and son duo. They're very annoying. And then we get Thanos. There's a guy, he's a rapper named Thanos, like from the MCU, and he has his fingernails painted like the Infinity Stones. It's just, I hate this character. So we start the first game as red light, green light, which was my favorite game from the first series. And Ji-hoon's trying to warn everybody, think he's stupid and trying to ignore him. But once the game starts and all hell breaks loose and people start getting shot, they start listening to him and they follow his advice. That was weird. I thought like people were being shot by like an auto turret or something, but apparently it was snipers. So that was kind of weird. But with his advice, many people are able to survive, and the game ends. Interesting twist of this season is in the first one. After the first game, there was a vote to stay or leave, but in second series, there's a vote every single game. So that was a cool twist. So people are making impassioned speeches about staying. Ji-hoon tries to like compel everybody to leave, but they're asking, "Hey, who are you and what do you know?" But then he reveals that he won, and it kind of fires because people think they can win too. So they ended up voting to stay. And then it's funny, like both sides, people that want to leave, the X's are like throwing up X's, and the people that want to stay are throwing up O's. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's like, you know. But the deciding vote is by player 001, who's revealed to be the front man in disguise, and he votes to stay. And I thought that was a cool twist to get into the game. Like in the first series, the old man, the founder, was 001 too. So I thought that was a cool callback, and I like this actor, so I was excited that he was joining the main cast. So next episode 4, Six Legs. So Jin-hoon's trying to like, warn everybody. They're trying to get his advice on the games. Pretty sure he thinks it's gonna be the honeycomb game with the shapes. It's like pick triangle. Think it's funny to do a cool nightmare fake out with a triangle, but it's like 100 on them. I thought that was a cool little nightmare sequence. But the front man's going around, just like, being charismatic, trying to get people aside. Thought that was really cool how he's trying to like pit people against each other. He beats up Thanos. I love that. Um, in the first series, they got like cool little lunches. So the first meal they get is rice, a fried egg, which looked awesome, and a bottle of water. And you also get the guards and their organ harvesting plot. And the woman that's was in the amusement park as the guard is, being a hindrance to that. She's killing the competitors who lose, and it's kind of like blowing up their operation. But I hated that whole thing. I just really wish they wouldn't have wasted time on something like that. So the second game, it's not the honeycomb game, ends up being a team game. It's five people tied together by their legs, and they got to run in a circle and complete five separate tasks. I thought that was a cool idea, but then they played this horrible music during the competition. I just hated it so much. It just really got on my nerves. But the episode ends with uh, teams playing, and we get to see what happens, and it's like super tense, and people are just missing doing the simplest thing because of the pressure situation, and the looter end up getting killed. So that's the end of that episode. Episode 5, one more game. So we get to see the first group of the main characters try the race and play this horrible music. I hate it, but they're able to succeed, and then we get a montage of other teams playing, and they play like this stupid like jock jams music. It just gets on my nerves. I just hated everything about the music in these scenes. Finally, we get Jin Hoon's group, and he's teamed up with the frontman and a bunch of the guys, and they compete. And then they play some awesome 80s pop song. I love the song, but it just like so out of place. I don't know. I hated all the musical choices happening here. But the guys are, pretty much nailing all their tasks. But then when it comes to the front man, he's trying to spin a top, and he looks like he's doing it on purpose to fail. But I just wonder how much protection he has versus how much he's competing. But I think it's cool. He just like messing up on purpose to mess with these guys. But game ends, and there's another vote, but we see some characters switch sides, kind of pissing everybody off. People keep making impassioned speeches to stop the games. It's like every time they got to have a massive debate about it. And then the O's are like, "Woo, shut up," and they start doing a one more game chant, like it's like a WWE event. So um, they end up staying in the game. Second meal is a milk and a bun or roll or something, and the milk has the shape symbols on it for some reason. It's like, did they get that custom made for what purpose? No one's going to see that. So I thought that was silly. But since people kind of switch sides, a lot of tension between the characters, so kind of mad at each other. So it seems like uh, manufactured drama for the sake of drama. But the third game ends up being Mingle. It's like a pairing off matching game. I didn't really like it. I like the set because they're on like a giant platform. There's like a carnival atmosphere, but then they run into these really poorly constructed doors that look really fake and cheap. So I thought that was kind of silly. But our main characters are teaming up, getting ready to do this next game, and that's how the episode ends. Episode 6, OX. So we get to see the Mingle game. I just don't really like it. It's too chaotic. You can't really tell what's happening, and I don't think there's too much skill involved, so I really hated it. I did like when the front man like snapped a dude's neck. You could feel that one, but just showed like, oh, this dude's like, for real, he's like a savage. So I thought that was really cool. But the game ends, and so I'd have another vote with more impassioned speeches. With the vote ends up being a tie. So the game runners decide, all right, give you some extra time, and you can kind of tell there's tension in the air. The third meal is looks like a sushi roll, look pretty good, and a bottled water with shapes on it, for no reason. But you can kind of sense that there's a tension in the air, and there ends up being a bathroom brawl between the X's and O's, and luckily Thanos gets forked in the throat, so he's dispatched. So I'm happy about that. But episode ends with a massive brawl between both sides. They're trying to kill each other, and that's where the episode leaves off during the massive brawl. Final episode of season, episode 7, Friend or Foe. So we return back to the brawl in progress. There's like a massive fight going on, and a lot of people end up dead. Then after it's all said and done, the foes, people won't leave the game, end up with less numbers. So at night, there's a fear that they're going to attack. So everybody's trying to strategize, and the X's are like, should we just like preemptively strike because they're going to come after us? But during the chaos, it's revealed that Ji-hoon wants everybody to basically hide, let people get murdered, and sacrifice themselves so they can play dead and ambush the guards. And it's like, I guess he's taking a dark turn for the character because he's more obsessed with revenge and saving people. So he's kind of slipped to the dark side, and that's what happens. They play possum. When the guards come in, they jump up and fight them, take their guns, and they kind of form a little armed rebellion. And they play like an awesome guitar riff when the show becomes an action movie all of a sudden. And so the guys, they storm up there, get into a massive, prolonged gunfight on the crazy stairs. It just goes on and on. It's just way too long, to the point where they're having to do ammo checks and having to scavenge ammo off the guards, and they send a dude to do an ammo run. It goes on way too long. It's not really exciting because it just doesn't end. Our main guys, Ji-hoon, the front man, some of the guys, they end up trying to storm the control room, and the front man ends up just betraying the guys. The rebellions get put down, people are killed, main character are captured, and that's where the series ends on a cliffhanger. There's a little teaser of next time, another like red light, green light game, so I'll watch it for that. But overall, thought the series was a letdown, kind of terrible. I don't know, wasn't that exciting. We'll watch the third season come out next year. It's on Netflix right now if you want to check it out. Thank you.